Gentlemen, let's have an honest conversation, the kind most men never get to have. How many times have you been in the middle of an intimate moment and quietly wondered, is she actually enjoying this? Not just tolerating it, not just going along with it, but truly deeply enjoying it in a way that makes her think about you when you are not even in the room. That question lives in the chest of more men than you would ever imagine. Men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. Good men, devoted men, men who genuinely care, but who have never been given an honest, medically grounded answer. I guarantee you this, by the time this video ends, you will have 5 science-backed techniques that change the entire dynamic of your intimate life. Real, clinically grounded tools that work with the female body, not against it. And I guarantee you, if you apply these 5 techniques, she will notice the difference immediately. One thing before we start, stay with me all the way through, especially for tip 4. It contains a piece of anatomy I have almost never heard any doctor explain publicly. Most men do not know it. Most women do not know it. And once you understand it, everything changes. Do not leave early. Tip 4 alone is worth every minute. But first, we need to destroy a lie that has been sitting in your head for decades. The world gave men a blueprint: harder, faster, bigger, more force. That blueprint came from pornography, from locker rooms, from a culture that sold fantasy instead of truth. And most men, good men, carried it into their bedrooms and quietly wondered why something always felt missing. Here is what biology has known for years. That blueprint is wrong, not partially wrong, fundamentally wrong. The female body does not respond to force. It responds to intelligence, to patience, rhythm, and the kind of presence most men were never taught to bring because nobody thought to teach them. You were not failing. You were working from the wrong blueprint. Today, we replaced it. My name is Dr. Rena, board-certified urologist with 12 years of clinical experience in men's health and intimate wellness. I have sat across from thousands of men of every age who all ask the same question in different ways. How do I become better for her? Those questions are not weak points. They are the mark of a man who loves his partner and takes that seriously. Before we begin, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new here, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you are watching from. I have men here from Nigeria, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia. This community spans the entire globe. Now let us get into the 5 techniques she has always wanted you to know. Tip number 1. But before the fix, let me name the mistake because you need to hear it first. The mistake is going too hard, too fast, too soon. It is nearly universal. Not because men are selfish, but because nobody gave them biology. Here's the fix. Start slow. The female body operates on a completely different biological timeline. When a woman becomes aroused, blood flow builds in the pelvic region. Vaginal walls soften and expand. Lubrication increases gradually, and nerve endings begin to sensitize. For most women, full arousal takes 10 to 20 minutes. That is not a flaw. That is biology. Move too quickly, and her body is not ready. What was meant to be pleasurable becomes uncomfortable, sometimes painful. And here is the part that will stop you. She may never tell you, not because she does not trust you, but because she loves you and does not want you to feel diminished. She adjusts. She endures. You walk away thinking everything was fine while she quietly wishes it had been different. That ends today. Starting slow does something extraordinary. Her blood vessels dilate fully. Her nerve endings become exquisitely sensitive. You are not just being patient. You are building the biological foundation for every sensation that follows. Emotionally, she feels cared for. She feels this moment is about her. Practically think of it this way. You are not warming up. You are building a fire. And a fire built slowly burns hotter and longer than one rushed into flame. Start slow. Stay slow longer than feels natural. You will be amazed at what she gives back. But here is where it gets more powerful. Because tip 2 is the tool most men never use deliberately. And once you start using it, she will wonder how you learned it. Tip number 2, tease her. Neuroscience tells us the brain's anticipation response, the dopamine that fires when we crave something we have not yet received, is actually more intense than the reward itself. Craving is more powerful than getting. When you harness that in intimacy, everything changes. Find a rhythm she is clearly responding to. Stay with it. Build it. Then deliberately pull back slower strokes, shallower movement, less intensity. Not because you are losing interest, because you are programming her nervous system to crave more. She will pull you closer. She will move toward you, searching for what you just took away. When you return to that rhythm, return fully. The intensity multiplies. What would have been a spark becomes an ignition. One warning: never tease in the final moments before she climaxes. That is not teasing. That is cruelty. Teasing belongs early where it builds anticipation that makes everything following feel extraordinary. Tease her like you mean it. She is waiting for a man who understands this. Here is where most men make a second mistake, one that quietly undoes everything. Tips 1 and 2 just built. Tip 3 fixes it. Tip number 3, vary your tempo. You find a rhythm that is working and you lock in. You think this is working. Keep doing exactly this. And for a while it does. But then something shifts. What was electric becomes routine. Here is why the nervous system is biologically programmed to adapt to repeated stimulation. Neurologists call it sensory adaptation. Nerve endings that were firing intensely begin to normalize. What felt extraordinary 4 minutes ago now simply feels present. The solution is not to thrust harder. The solution is to change slow and deep, fast and shallow, pause, shift, angle. The variety itself becomes the stimulus her nervous system resets every time. Emotionally, she stays present because she cannot predict what comes next. Practically, you gain control over your own arousal, lasting longer and bringing her further than any single rhythm ever could. A symphony is not beautiful because it plays one note perfectly. It is beautiful because it knows when to rush and when to breathe. Conduct this with intention. Now, tip number 4. This is the moment I told you about at the start. The anatomy most doctors never explain. Stay close because this changes everything. Tip number 4, grinding, not just thrusting. When most men think of the clitoris, they picture a small external structure, a minor detail. But that visible tip is only the surface of something far larger. The clitoris is actually a substantial internal structure, extending several inches deep, branching into 2 internal legs, called the cura, and 2 vestibular bulbs that wrap around the vaginal canal on both sides. The entire internal network contains over 10,000 nerve endings, more than any other structure in the entire human body, more than the fingertips, more than the lips, anywhere. 10,000 nerve endings, and most men have spent their entire lives unknowingly bypassing nearly all of them. When you thrust the motion, every man defaults to you stimulate some internal nerve endings, but you largely bypass the most sensitive network in her body. The internal clitoral structure is not primarily stimulated by thrusting. It is stimulated by pressure, by grinding, by keeping your pelvis close and moving in circular rocking angled motions that create sustained contact with the full clitoral anatomy simultaneously. In positions where bodies are naturally close, missionary, or when she is on top, instead of pulling back and thrusting, stay close. Rock forward rather than pulling away. Move in slow, deliberate circles. Apply steady, firm pressure. Let your movement be about connection, not distance. 2 things happen at once. She receives stimulation from the nerve network most connected to her deepest pleasure. And you, because grinding is far less physiologically intense than thrusting, gain extraordinary control over your own arousal. She gets more of what she has always wanted. You get the control you have always wanted. That is not a compromise, that is mastery. And now the mistake that underlies every other mistake, the one no technique can compensate for. Tip number 5, pay attention, not politeness, no consideration, a clinical skill. Her body communicates with you constantly through her breathing, her sounds, the way her muscles tighten or release, the way she moves toward you or away. These are not vague signals. They are a precise real-time feedback system telling you exactly what is working, what needs to change, where she is in her arousal cycle at every moment. The men who read that system become extraordinary lovers, not because they are more gifted, but because they are more present. I had a patient I will call Robert, 62 years old, married 31 years. He came to me because his wife had gently told him she felt disconnected during intimacy. I asked him one question. When you are with her, what are you thinking about? He paused, then said, honestly, I am mostly thinking about whether I am doing a good job. That was the entire answer. He was performing for an imaginary audience inside his own head instead of being present with the real woman in front of him. We worked on presence over 3 months. He came back and told me his wife had said something she had not said in years. She felt like he was truly with her. Presence does not just improve the physical experience, it heals the emotional distance that long term couples quietly carry without ever naming it. So the next time you are with your partner, turn off the internal performance monitor. Stop asking, am I doing this right? Start asking, what is she telling me right now? She is already communicating everything you need. You just have to listen. Now let us bring it together. Start slow. Let patience be your first act of love. Tease her. Build the craving before you satisfy it. Vary your tempo change before routine kills the moment. Grind, not just thrust. Activate the 10,000 nerve endings she carries. Pay attention. Her body is already answering every question you have been afraid to ask. Apply these 5 steps consistently, and within 2 to 3 weeks, you will notice a shift. Not just in her responses, in your own confidence, in the quiet certainty that replaces the old anxiety. But I know some of you are carrying something heavier than curiosity right now. Maybe you have struggled with stamina and it has cost you moments you wish you could take back. Maybe you have sensed your partner quietly unsatisfied, and that knowledge sits in your chest like a stone you cannot put down. Maybe you believe the best years of your intimate life are simply behind you. I want to look you in the eye and tell you none of that is true. In 12 years, I have worked with men in their 60s who became better lovers than they ever were in their 30s. Men in their 70s who found that slowing down unlocked intimacy that youth never gave them. Men in their 80s who told me the most meaningful experiences of their lives came after they stopped performing and started truly showing up. Age does not take away your capacity for intimacy. Age refinizes it. The urgency of youth gives way to something deeper. The anxiety about size and speed gives way to the mastery of presence, rhythm, and genuine connection. You are not past your prime. You are approaching a different kind of prime, one most young men cannot access because they have not yet learned what you are learning right now. You were not broken. You were working from the wrong blueprint. Today, you replaced it. Remember the question I asked you at the very beginning. Is she actually enjoying this? After today, after everything you have learned, after the anatomy of tip 4 that most doctors never explain, after what Robert taught us about the power of presence, you will never have to wonder again. You will know because she will show you in the way her body responds, in the way she reaches for you, in the way she looks at you afterward, not with politeness, not with performance, but with something real that has been waiting for a man who understood her well enough to draw it out. Women do not lie awake wishing their partner was bigger, faster, or younger. They lie awake wishing they felt seen, wishing the experience was about them, not just happening near them, wishing the man beside them was fully present instead of lost inside his own head. When you start slow, you tell her, I am not in a rush. You are worth taking time for. When you tease her, you tell her, I know your body well enough to make you want it even more. When you vary your tempo, you tell her, I am here. I am responding to you in real time. When you grind, you tell her, I understand how your body works and I care enough to have learned it. When you pay attention, you tell her the most important thing a man can tell a woman in an intimate moment. You are all I am thinking about. Nothing else exists. That is not technique. That is love expressed through physical intelligence. The best lover is never the man who watched the most, read the most, or tried hardest to impress. The best lover is the man who made her feel in the most complete and human sense of that word that she was everything. That man is already inside you. Today, you gave him the tools. If this video gave you something real, like it right now, every like puts this message in front of another man who needs it, subscribe so you never miss the kind of honest clinical conversation most doctors are too busy to have with you. And drop a comment. Tell me which tip hit hardest or ask me anything, and I will answer it in a future video. I am Dr. Rena. Your age does not define your vitality. Small changes create extraordinary transformations, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of your health, your body, and the people you love because you deserve nothing less.